Hello everyone. Last time we finished the sculpt, so all we have to do now is paint. Let me just set up the stream. Okay. Alright. First thing, usually I do create some sort of platform, but now I'm just going to leave it as it is. So, painter's tape. Cover up the surface area that you don't get, because we are going to use a lot of watered down nearly black. So you most likely don't want the paint to drop from the characters and mess up your platform. Shit. For paint, shield I used just baking paper. It's light, it doesn't take anything in it. It doesn't suck the paint in it if there's a mess, and it's easy to keep. You can even store some paints there easily, and you can cover it more precise to the between of the toes and such, but I'm just trying to be precise enough when painting the lower parts with the paint, so I don't make a mess. Okay, so this will be very easy to paint, so there's not a lot of tactics included. It's just thank you, good create 3C. But yeah, about 90%, so only 1/10 of white paint. And let's see how, because if we are going to create pitch black, it can easily drown some details. It has just light tint to it. Then I'm going to make it very watery. Just make it so wet that it barely has any consistency on it. I'll show you how wet this is. It's basically black water now. Also know it when you add it under the baking paper. If it starts to separate it from itself, you know it's watery enough. We do this because we don't want to drown any of the details. The more watery your and you can always add the water straight to the figurine too. If it seems that it doesn't, that it just falls off, then add more paint. Then add water down over it. Or just pure water. Just adding a thick layer over the head now, and then just drowning in it water. And if it seems that there's water building up in some cavities, don't worry about it, because if you have watered it down enough, it will just disappear when it's drying. And you can use a dry brush to, if you feel that it's too thick to dry out, just use a dry brush to take it out. As you can see, it's starting to drop all over the base, so that was a good thing. Of course you can, actually it might look kinda nice if I were to paint the base. I'm not sure how it's going to look in the camera. Currently it doesn't represent how it looks in real life that much. It looks pretty faint in the camera, but it gives it a bit more organic look when you do it with a watered down. And don't if you do it like this in gray clay, and you're using dark colors, water down only some spots, so it has some variation in it. I'm going to glaze this afterwards too, because I usually don't glaze characters like this, for example Minotaur, but because it gives them an unnatural look, but since aliens are very glossy, the glossy glaze will give it a cool look. I'm using acrylic paints, so you can use oil-based. Yeah, but I think it's easier to work with water-based, even though oil-based will have its own beautiful look to it. I'm gonna lift this up a bit. Just remember to use a lot of water, because all these tiny pieces will drown into the pure paint. And after it has dried, you can always add another very watered down layer to it, but it's very hard to get the off the thick layer. Even though it's water based, it will be pretty hard to get it off when it has really dried on it. Just adding the thick paint now here, just roughly drawing it all over at the where I want to the tip of the it's not called the tip, it's the edge of the tail that goes over it on the both sides. And I'm just going to water it down from there so it looks like it's it has more of a black tint on the top of the tail, and when it goes down with the water, it looks like it's fading a little bit to the undercolor, which is the gray from the clay. I'm working very fast now because, first of all, this is quite a heavy piece, so it's not good for my wrist, and it's always, when painting, nice to work fast, so the paint doesn't dry too much if you're watering it. Would love to have airbrush. That's something that I wanted for a long time. I think I created too little paint. It's looking very nice. I don't. It seems to look good in the camera too. A little bit more glossy on the camera, but I'll be posting a complete time lapse with finished pictures, of course, afterwards. Because I don't think a lot of people will probably not watch these videos. These are long, and if you are not really into the complete tutorials or really into the learning, I don't think you're going to watch these. Which is fine. I'm doing this for the viewers. I'm doing this for the people like me who had hard time to start doing this hobby. There's some dark parts. I'm adding more water so it will douse the paint out. Okay, I have to with some more paint. When doing more paint, try to, of course, make it as close to the original as possible. This time it was about 1/10 of white and 9/10 of the white, black, so it's quite a easy mix. Too little black though now. Okay. Then we are going to add again the. I'm just going to add the non-watered to the pipes here and to the back. Then I'm going to dose it with water. It work fast so the paint doesn't dry, even though acrylics doesn't dry that fast, but it can dry if it's if it's applied slowly. Okay, and then we start watering. Apply a lot of water. Using a dry brush to take some leftovers away. slightly touching it with toilet paper. Getting out of extra water and giving it it smooths a little bit if there's a darker part and lighter part. If you do need to take off paint after it has dried, you can soak the figurine under hot water. That's probably the only way, or using sandpaper or something. If it's completely dried, it will be a tough job to take off. Strong alcohol might also do the trick. But for water-based colors, acrylics are often very strong. I even have one of my works outdoors that is acrylically painted. It's the Cyndaquil life-size Pokemon that I made. Let's try to get off some on the back a bit more. And remember, do not drown the figurine in paint, because paint is detail's worst enemy. A lot of water and you will have your figurine safe. I noticed that you can't really see the black paint so well on the camera, but let me lift it up. Rotate, so maybe you get a better idea how it looks. The monitor's light gives little help showing this. You can see that the head sides are quite light. I'm going to the top of the head, I'm going to add tiny detail with just black, and that will be, I'm just drawing it in there, smoothing it over with the edges. I want the top of the head to be like black mirror. Be careful with this, because this again, this is not watered down. Try to keep it away from the cavities that we created to the side. And then we are going to use the, I have dirt dry brush here, using it to clean out the mouth, because in the mouth there's a lot of water between the teeth and the tongue. Right, then we are going to do just one last check that the underbelly is completed. For example, into the crotch there's a bald spot. And there's a wrist. I usually just, if I found bald spots like the wrist and the crotch, I just add pure paint and do not water it down, because after you have worked on it, you probably have added paint everywhere, and if there's some bald spot, it usually is the kind of spot that will somehow drop more of the water, so you just want to make sure that it, of course it's not the end of the life if you have some bald spot there, you just afterwards apply it. Just make sure after you before you glaze that everything is painted, because afterwards it's gonna be a bitch, especially if you have multicolor figurine. Okay, I think that's the paint job done. I'm going to let it sit and dry a few hours, then I'm going to check if there's some problems. If there are problems, I'm not going to do a video about it if I fix those, because it will literally be that I put my brush in the paint and stuck and that's it. If there's some larger problems, I will do a little video about it. But I highly doubt that there will be anything. I also won't be making tutorial about the glazing, because the glazing is so self-explanatory. I can say about few things about it. Just always be very careful with the glazing, because if you overdo it, you will have drops dripping and such. But it's just that if you overdo the glaze, you can ruin your figurine quite easily. And it's when glazing, do very thin layers. Even you might even apply water to the glaze and do a watered down glazings 1 to 3 times. Thin layers, let it dry completely before applying another layer. And I mean, like sometimes, depending on the glaze, you can find it in the bottle always. What are the drying times? But for example, I have few different glazes that I use depending on project. The glossy one that I have, it has only 2 hours drying time, which is very convenient, so you don't have to wait for like 24 hours to put another layer on it. But yeah, now the final goodbye, probably considering this. Actually, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to create it. Actually, I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to do the drool. So I just take super glue and do it on the gums and teeth and the side slimes. Add it so much, drop by drop. With a bottle like this is easy because you only get drop by drop, and just drop by drop add it so it creates nice little droplets there, and when it has dried, just repeat as many times as you want. But thank you for watching and following this tutorial, and give me a comment just to say hello if you don't have anything towards the project, and if it was helpful, leave a thumbs up. If it didn't help you in any way, leave a dislike. Thank you for watching, and subscribe for more awesome sculptures.